The fallout continues in New York City. Our nation watches while police officers, protesters, the police commissioner, even the mayor himself, all struggling to find common ground after an angry protester shot and killed 2 police officers in cold blood. Everywhere you look, it seems someone is reacting to someone else's reaction. This all started back in July when police officer Daniel Pantaleo choked and killed unarmed Eric Garner for resisting arrest. Garner's last words, now infamous, "I can't breathe." Then, things escalated earlier this month when a grand jury ruled that same officer, Pantaleo, was justified for his actions using an illegal chokehold, and the grand jury decided not to indict Pantaleo for Garner's death. So while Garner died for selling untaxed cigarettes and resisting arrest, Daniel Pantaleo will never have to face a judge and answer for why he killed a man. Now, as soon as that decision was announced, protesters emerged all over the country, furious with that decision not to act. Now, as we told you earlier this month, several NBA players also joined in. They started wearing shirts that said, "I can't breathe," showing their support for the Garner family. For decades, the hardwood floor or the asphalt at the local city park has been a place of release and escape for many of those athletes who grew up in fear of the police themselves. Once those voices spoke up, we started to see the chain reaction. Fans angry with players, police officers frustrated with protesters, demonstrators upset with the justice system. The one thing police and protesters have in common on both sides, they're trying to prove their own innocence by condemning the other. We saw this whole thing happen all the way across the country from New York at a small high school basketball tournament. The Fort Bragg High School banned 2 teenage basketball teams from wearing those very same "I Can't Breathe" t-shirts at their tournament. The school principal, Rebecca Walker, said the shirts were being outlawed as a security precaution. Both teams were given a choice: either stop wearing those shirts or don't play in our tournament. The entire girls basketball team chose to give up their spot in the tournament rather than to give in to the school's demands. 16-year-old Connor Woods was the only boy teenager to sit out while his team played on without him. His father, Mark, says he's all fired up because after the ban because it's a First Amendment violation. But in trying to silence the voices of their students, these high school administrators actually did them a favor. Instead of silencing their protest, the ban only amplified their message. In fact, the principal might as well have built them a national platform. Now, instead of a few parents and local residents seeing the t-shirts in a crowded high school gym, the entire nation will read about this story in the USA Today. The school tried to teach the students a lesson, and instead, they got one in return. You see, you can't win by pressing the mute button. You never win by suppressing the voice of the protester. Perhaps, instead of trying to correct a protester, try to understand them. Instead of trying to silence a demonstrator, try to listen. Because after all, what is sports anyways but an exercise, an expression, an outlet of energy, and an opportunity to show that together we are greater than the sum of our parts, and divided we're all left to fend for ourselves. We see what we learned from this school ban in California. A little teamwork can go a long way. Don't just allow free speech, encourage it. Don't just spew hateful rhetoric. Participate in the conversation.